Welcome to the Tamriel Vault fan feature. We are Character Crusade, and I'm Stu.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And in this episode, we are talking about The Raven Lady of the Reach by Paradigm. So in this episode, we are talking about the Tamriel Vault character build, Raven Lady of the Reach. This one was created by Paradigm, and this is a really cool one. Both Joe and I have had an opportunity to play test this one, and I found it to be a really great sort of role-play focused character build.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I love the idea of starting out as a Forsworn, which is something I've actually never done.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and let's dig into that a little bit, actually, because the author has this unique idea, right, of let's create kind of a stealth assassin type of a character, but let's focus on the idea that this character is a Forsworn and comes with kind of all that baggage.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really, there's a lot of detail in this character build that is focused on helping a person role play this type of character, but the focus is creating a female character who is really the quintessential Reachman, if you will, and
right.
kind of embroiled in this whole kind of feral civil war going on, right?
Right. Yeah.
So this build focuses on dual wielding, stealth, archery.
Stealth and archery, I would say, are probably the focal points.
Yeah, and when you actually look at the major skills, it's a fairly simple list.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. And that's where I think this build kind of differentiates itself from the first two that we've done, where those had some kind of an interesting little tactical combat thing about them that sort of set them apart initially.
Right.
This one is really focused on role play opportunities, and Paradigm does a really great job toward the end of the build, laying out all kinds of possible options, ideas, and resources for how to role play this character.
Right.
But when you look at that major and minor skill set, we're really talking about 5 priorities here.
Yeah.
So we start out with major skills of archery, one-handed and light armor, and minor skills of sneak and speech. And really the objective here is that we want to focus on kind of the silent killer type of thing. It's really focused on that sort of wilderness warrior, right?
Well, yeah, kind of guerrilla tactics, hit hard, hit quick, and then get out before anyone knows you're there.
Right. I think many of us have played sneaky archers, and that's one thing you always hear about Skyrim is that I always intended to start out doing this thing, and it always turned into a sneaky archer, right?
Only magic.
I know, right?
Always sneaky archer.
All sneaky archer. Well, this is an opportunity to focus on the sneaky archer from the start, but do it in a way that's completely unique with a very different perspective.
Oh, yeah, because unlike a lot of sneaky archers as laid out kind of in this build, this particular character build has no interest in doing any kind of Assassin's Guild quests.
Oh.
Any kind of Thieves Guild quests. So these skill sets that are in the build lend really well for those, but that's not what the character's all about. And that's why we start getting into this role play aspect of it.
Absolutely. It forces you to think about some of the quests that this character would do in a very different light. So you're thinking about the Civil War quest line, for example, from the perspective of a guerrilla warrior,
right,
which is a very different approach.
Vastly.
So I really like that approach here. And the other thing that I think is worth mentioning is that Raven Lady of the Reach utilizes werewolf, the werewolf transformation. Yeah. And I think that's probably a really good fit for this character.
Yeah, I actually found that to be pretty useful when I was just monkeying around with testing it out. And that when you get into a situation where you know you're going to be either outnumbered, outmatched, or otherwise, you can hit that transformation and it launches you into your werewolf. Now you got to give yourself a little time because that just doesn't happen instantly.
Right.
But you don't want to be in a position where you're getting hacked on as you're trying to transform.
Right.
But once you do transform and you blast off that howl, you got a good chance of scaring people and sending them far away from you so you can kind of regroup.
Yeah.
And then you just chase them down and tear them up.
Nice.
I think that is really great because it really contributes to the sort of wild, barbaric feral feeling of the character.
Yeah,
right?
and it really does have that. I mean, even the look, if we want to get into gear.
Yeah, let's talk about gear, because there is a great recommended set of gear here.
Yeah, and it really gives you that primal kind of feel and look.
Yeah, we start out with a cuirass, which the recommendation is the Savior's Hide, which that comes from the Hirsine side quest, I believe.
Yep.
So you've got that combined with gauntlets of the old gods, boots of the old gods, and then even a Stormcloak officer's helmet, which features the
that bare open face kind of look,
hood kind of a thing. You combine all of those together, and it really has a distinctive look.
It's a good look. So that means, you know, you've got to launch into those quests to get this stuff. I mean, work your way up to it. So,
and those are all very appropriate quests for this particular character, which is a
and
great
I believe
fit.
this build really does, in some respects, center around the idea of Hirsine and the werewolf and the hunter and huntress kind of aspect. So you can really play that up nice.
Yeah, I love that. And so we've got some other items too. Things like the Ring of Nymera. I can totally see that one, because there's the whole part about the darkness of it, right?
Yep.
Of eating people. You know,
right.
There's an aspect of cannibalism associated with that, but this is a character who's also a werewolf, and you have this weird kind of tie in there, which I think is very interesting. Plus, it kicks off in Markarth, which is great and has to do with gnawing bones, which dogs are into anyway, right?
That's what I hear. Well, and if, you know, with Markarth, that's the whole, you know, escape from Cidhna Mine, where you're going to help out. And I'm blanking on the name. Yeah,
there's the quest in Cidhna Mine where you can basically help out a captured Forsworn leader.
Correct.
Right? And if you side with him, you can help him escape.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things also that Paradigm recommends. The description really says if you can do a mod, do alternate start.
And that's what I did.
That's what you did?
I did test it out with alternate start as a Forsworn.
Okay.
And I did end up in, I believe it is, that leader's camp.
Yes. The recommendation, if you're playing vanilla with this character, is that you start right away by traveling to Markarth as soon as you can, and then kicking that quest off, because that will be a Forsworn camp that you'll be able to use as a base of operations then going forward.
Right.
So either way, whether you're doing alternate start or vanilla, you can simply travel to Markarth, kick that quest off to start with,
and
I think do that.
I think regardless of how you start, whether it's, you know, vanilla or modded, like you had mentioned, that should be one of your first points of action, is going into Markarth. Yeah,
the guy you're rescuing, his name is Madanach.
That's it.
And he is in Cidhna Mine, and that's in Markarth. So you get involved in that.
And that's where Nymera kicks off, as you mentioned.
Nymera kicks off there. And Markarth is right in the heart of the Reach, and it's sort of the nexus of this entire ongoing conflict.
Yes.
Between the Forsworn and the Stormcloaks, or whomever's in charge at the time, because they fight basically whoever's in charge there. You know, but it's a great place to serve as the focal point for a character, whether you're out in the wilderness in this camp, or you're building a home inside of Markarth itself. Let's touch a little bit on some of the attributes, right? So we said that there was a short list of 5 skills, but we have outlined here by Paradigm a couple of examples of perk spreads. The perk spreads are pretty wide here. I mean, there's a lot of perks that are recommended. So I think to simplify things, Paradigm has broken it down into an example of a level 25 perk spread and a level 50 perk spread. And then how are the attributes distributed, Joe?
They are pretty much focused in health. Okay. With a little bit of stamina. So you're looking at a 3-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
And nothing in Magicka.
Okay.
This is also in reading through the author's page, is that this is really a non-crafting type of character. So you're not looking at smithing things up. You're not looking at creating potions or enchanting really of anything. It's kind of using your skills and what you can find.
Yeah.
You know, and if you happen to have a mod that'll allow you to have a blacksmith increase the smith up your weapons and armor. Maybe that's an option, but
Yeah.
I don't. That wasn't a suggestion, but
Yeah. Well,
as a personal note, that might be something to look at.
For sure. And I think, I've done playthroughs before where I've said I wasn't going to enchant anything. I was just going to use the magic items that I found in the world, right? But this is a way more focused approach to that kind of an idea.
Right.
And I think I would have liked this much better than what I ended up doing, which seemed a little bit random.
Right.
Like I would find a good item and I'd wear it for a while and then it'd disappear when the next item came along. And
Right.
and this is really focused less on what's the latest and greatest item I can find and more on sort of the ritual aspects of the items themselves and the fact that wearing them is just as important
Right.
as their stats and the benefits they provide. So
It's also focused on kind of your tactical abilities and how you want to approach combat, not necessarily what you're approaching it with.
right. So if it sounds like this might be something you're interested in, I highly recommend you check out the build page because
There's a ton of good information on it.
I know, right? Like more than half of this build page is just devoted to all kinds of great ideas. There's some amazing ideas in here also about the Raven Lady using her intelligence, her wiles, to kind of dress up as a normal citizen and infiltrate the cities,
blend in,
and find their weaknesses and exploit those weaknesses and all
Right.
kinds of different things. So this goes beyond just a barbarian running around in the Reach to something that's a lot more intelligent to play.
Well, yeah, and a lot more in depth and of just a barbaric type of character.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is definitely an intelligent character build.
Yep.
I mean, as far as the how you would play off the character's intelligence, it's a smart character.
Yep. So if you're interested, check out the build page. You'll find all kinds of recommended quests. It even provides some detail on kind of just ideas around what the Raven Lady's relationship would be with different cities,
different
factions, living arrangements, and kind of the pros and cons of living in different places,
Right.
and how that might affect role play. So if you're interested, check it out. There's a huge wealth of information. Paradigm has put together a really great build here from the role play perspective, and I think if you give it a shot, if you're trying to get in and play kind of the sneaky archer again, this is a great way
nice
to do
twist.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a wonderful twist and really deep role play opportunities here. So if you are interested in getting more information about this great Tamriel Vault build, visit tamrielvault.com. We are Character Crusade, and we'll see you next time.